in terms of my methodology, my beliefs, my thoughts, and my probably most importantly, my practices, I look at everything from a windows and mirrors perspective. What I mean by window and mirror is windows when everything's going well and everything's success. You look at the window and look at outside. You look at outside in terms of who has helped you. Yeah, so you look around you. You look around you in terms of who's helped you in terms of your journey, who's helped you in terms of where you are, who's helped you with that particular success, with that particular project, with that particular outcome. So really look outwards. And when things are not going so well, I take a mirrored approach. Put the mirror in front of me and look at myself. I start looking at myself in terms of what could I have done better, where's the improvement, and really start challenging myself in terms of, why am I in the position that I'm in? And that's generally my sort of view of things in terms of everything that I do, windows and mirrors. And, with the mirror approach, you tend to avoid then blame and excuses. Then you're in a position where you take ownership and accountability and responsibility. You accept what it is, but then you look at yourself and say, what can I do to be better? What can I do to actually, if somebody's disrespecting you, if you're not able to command the respect of a colleague, what can you do? Rather than them being, difficult people or, them causing you problems, what can you do? So, control what you can control, look at the mirror, look at yourself, and look at what you can do, what can you change, what can you control, and how can you move forward. And that's my general sort of outlook in everything that I do, whether it's personal life or business life. Take a windows and mirrors approach. Another big belief that I have is always look at when things are going wrong, how you react. How do you react to that situation? Reacting in terms of fear, but more importantly, how do you react with other people? And your biggest gain is to gain respect from people is when things are going wrong. So if things are going wrong, and if you're reacting in a way which is accepting the fact that things do go wrong, giving that other person encouragement, giving the other person that space, not stifling them, not going and attacking them, you'll be able to gain from that position of loss, or gain from that position of things not going well. So particularly for me, in terms of look at how you treat people when things are not going well, and it shows your character. So it's not always about the person. In most cases, it's never about the person. It's about your own character. And as I said, you can only control what you can control. So when things are not going so well, look at how you treat other people. And that's about your character. I never take people for granted. That's one thing that I've learned is gratitude, and be grateful. Never take anybody for granted. Whoever it is, never take him for granted. Show that you care, show appreciation, and constantly be in a position where you're appreciative of the people, the team. I see myself as a servant often. As a leader, I see myself as a servant, and the way I do that is by giving love, by giving care. Offering small things like offering tea, making the tea for team meetings, and being appreciative of the other individual. And what you'll do is from that you'll be able to gain respect. And everybody's respect is in their own hands. So, if you're looking at, why somebody's not respecting you, it's probably likely to be as a result of your actions or inactions, and it's likely to be situations where you've responded in a way. So, as I say, everybody's respect is in their own hands. A lot of it's to do with their, how they treat others, and if you treat somebody else with respect, if you treat somebody else with kindness, more likely than not, you'll gain respect, and you'll be able to sort of command respect as a result of that. A little bit of a bugbear of mine within teamwork is people who deflect and distract. Always deflecting and distracting. They talk about what's wrong with this rather than looking at a position of, how can I improve it? What is the improvement? And it's always about not changing, not doing things. And always what you find is that you're in a position where they're the opposition. So you might be coming up with ideas, you might be coming up with suggestions, and they're telling you, what's wrong with it, or giving you a suggestion, and you're finding the fact that it's like an opposition. They're on the opposite side of things. They may not come up with any suggestions. It'll be deflective, it'll be distractive, it'll be about what's wrong with it, and very much in terms of a defensive mode, very much in terms of a mode of sort of blaming something else, or and really moving away from the core topic and really looking at how you can generally improve. Another belief that I have is I always wish that I can be better. So I don't wish, one of my prayers isn't that, life gets easier for me and everything becomes simple for me. I always wish that I become better so it becomes easier for me. Rather than becoming easier for you, I sort of look at, how do I get better so it does become easier, rather than it becomes easier. In terms of people, we're a funny lot. People are strange, and people do things often in an odd manner, and you just sometimes won't understand it. And what I found is people use communication, they use information, they use sort of knowledge in a way that I just wouldn't understand myself. In my own experience, I've seen people assert themselves by controlling information, by controlling knowledge. Knowledge does have a value. And you can be a custodian of knowledge, and you can sort of let that information go by bit by bit. You can sort of control information. You can be in a position where you restrict information. And often people who sort of restrict information, who restrict sort of knowledge, they are very fearful. They're very fearful, and they use that knowledge, that information, that sort of way of communication as a way of controlling, being more sort of domineering, being assertive, having the upper hand, because they're generally more fearful. They're generally more fearful. They're fearful of situation. They may be fearful of you as a person as well. So they create a level of dependency in terms of their importance or their self-importance, and their general behaviour reflects that. So anybody that you see who's a guardian or custodian of knowledge, who's a bit more closed in terms of their approach, what you'll find is that they're very much about power, and that's where they're coming from. And most of them, in my experience, they think that they're better than the business. They think that they're actually bigger than the business as well. And in my eyes, no individual is bigger than the business. Martin Sorrell, the founder of WPP, being the case recently, the business carries on. The business is a lot, it's a lot of constituents, a lot of ingredients, and regardless of who you are as an individual, whatever your role is, in most cases, if businesses are built on sustainable values, on the right foundations, no one individual is bigger than the business. So it's really about understanding the fact that yes, you might be trying to control and be the custodian of knowledge, trying to sort of overpower other people, trying to sort of assert yourself, but at the end of it, you're doing nobody any good apart from harming yourself and your approach of doing things. I do believe that everybody can be a manager only if you let them. If you create the right environment, anybody can be a manager. It's different from being a leader, but everybody can be a manager. If you allow them, if you let them, I do believe everybody can be a manager. A lot of it is about empowering people. You start off by making sure the fact that you don't stifle them. You allow them to work in a way that works for the business and for themselves. So it's not necessarily the fact that they've got to do A, B, C, D, and particularly in that order. If it works for them and it works for the business, they can do it in any particular order they want. So C, D, B, A. And I think you need to allow people that choice, allow them to sort of grow, allow them to sort of bespoke, define their own work in their own way. And what you find is a lot of managers, particularly with their teams, trying to control every single thing. You've got to do this, And I think that what you're finding is you're not building a manager for the future. You're not really building that person in terms of actually growing. There's no improvement there. You're not actually challenging them. You're not empowering those individuals to think about where the improvement is. So the question you've got to start, in my view, is ask regularly is, what can we do to improve? Where is the improvement? What can we do to improve? Not what's wrong with this, which is an area of sort of negativism, but where's the improvement? So if you talk about, say, HR, I have a view, rather than saying, well, what's wrong with HR or what's wrong with this particular process, how can we improve? Where is the improvement? And I think that's generally, if you have that approach, that question, what you'll find is that it opens up a debate, opens up a conversation, allows individuals to actually look at growing, not just themselves, but also growing the opportunity for all. And I'm also all about empowering people. That's a big belief in terms of what I do, empowering people, which is, for me, it's slightly different from a coaching model. I do ask coaching type questions. I would ask, what would you do? So if somebody comes to me with a solution, or somebody comes to me with an idea, or we talk about don't bring problems to us, bring a solution, but you always look at what would you do in this particular case? Ask the question, ask the viewpoint from that individual, and if it aligns with your viewpoint, fantastic. Let's go ahead and do that. If it doesn't, then you can ask a question. Well, have you considered this? Or yes, let's do that, but have you also thought about this option as well? So it's really about getting to understand that individual's thoughts and beliefs. One of the things that I do believe on is not getting somebody to say yes. That's easy for me to get somebody to say yes, but it's actually understanding what they think about it. Is it right or is it wrong? Not about the yes. It's too easy for me to go to the yes straight away. It's really about what you're thinking. Is this right? Is this wrong? And sometimes you might have to say, actually, I understand what you're talking about, but this is why we're doing it. This is why we're going to here. But really, sometimes people don't want to understand but they don't really want to understand the journey or the reasoning. And I always go back to my school days when you're doing the exams and when you're doing work. It's not always about the result. It's about the workings out and what your working out is. So if you understand the working out and you understand what the person's views are they on the same page as you, what their thinking is that aligned to yourself, what you'll find is the journey will be a lot longer, and you're also much more likely to be aligned, much more likely to enjoy working with that person as well. And as I said, move away from just being the yes and just doing it. Go and live that journey, understand that person's journey, and you'll find that it's been more fruitful for you. Another one of my beliefs is that when I'm talking to sort of advisors, particularly human resources, HR, accountants, I always look at from a perspective of, understand their perspective, but HR can't be on top. HR is on top. It's available there as a source, as an advisory mechanism. HR and accountants, they're there to keep you safe, legal, make sure you're compliant. As long as those things are there and the basic fundamentals are there, and you're not taking a risk with the business or not taking a risk with yourself and the people that you look after, then really HR is there on top to advise you. But then you as a leader need to make those decisions. You've got to be able to sort of convey those decisions and be in a position where you know why you're doing it and what the reason is as well. And the same with accountants as well. A lot of the times, accountants are making decisions based on numbers, but a lot of our decisions are not always about numbers and financials as well. There's a lot of other measures as well. So therefore, again, financial advisors for all accountants, in particular with organizations, should be able to guide your decision making, but these are your advisors. They're the people that are there to advise you, to counsel you, but you've got to remain on top. You've got to remain on top of the decisions, not let those individuals to influence too much in terms of where your thinking is and what you wish to do. So that's my methodology of beliefs, my thoughts, my practices. So don't wish that things become easier for you. Wish that you're better so it becomes easier for you.
Safaraz Ali, Chief Business Growth Motivator. You can contact Saf via LinkedIn or Twitter.